A few years ago, I was working on a game. I work as a game developer in Ellen Doron, and one of the characters of the game was this cute little dog called Polly the Collie. I didn't think too much about him. I thought about how to improve the game and everything. I thought he's cute and he's nice. And then talking to my boss, I actually realized that Polly is a female dog. And not only Polly is a female dog, other characters of Ellen Doron, like Sunny the cat, is also female. And this is his new design, the black, is also a female dog. And even this kangaroo is also female. It actually has a pocket. But I'm so used to having female characters like pink and with a big pink ribbon on their heads that I actually ignored the pocket. It even had like small kangaroo next to it, like kangaroo with a pocket, the little kangaroo. And still I was sure it was a male for like 2 years. So how did this happen and how can we change that and why? This is going to be a topic of my lecture today. You don't need a pink hair ribbon. How to create gender-neutral games for kids. So we have here, maybe you can identify the characters. This is from a Disney game called Where's My Water and Angry Birds, and the female version of the talking cat, Tom. It's called Angela. So let's start from the beginning. These are 2 pictures of toy easels today. I'm sure that if you have like kids or nephews and you went to Toys R Us to buy a gift for them, so you always have the girls' toy easel with like Barbies and pink toys and dolls. And you have the boy easel, which is like with cars and Lego, everything like blue, red, black. And we are very, very used to this today. We even maybe think that it can't be any other way, that all the toys need to be like blue for the boys and pink for the girls. But it wasn't always like that. If we look at Lego, actually, until the 70s and the 80s, it was a very gender-neutral game. You can see here the girl and the boy play the Lego together. The Legos are very colorful. They're not like pink or blue. And today, we have the boys' Lego, and we have the Lego Friends, which is sort of like Barbie Lego with less like less building stones, and more like Barbie figures. Another example is, I don't know how many of you remember Strawberry Shortcake? Yes, I loved her when I was a child. So if you remember, when I was a child, Strawberry Shortcake looked somewhere between the first and the second version. Like looks like a girl. She's a farmer. She has farmer comfortable clothes. And today, this is her new version. That is she also has a TV series now. She got a feminine makeover. I don't think her clothes are fitting to collect strawberries now, or do anything but, be in the mall. Now, this process of making toys divided to boys and girls and making the girl characters more feminine, it's a marketing choice, because if you have 2 versions of a toy and you have a boy and a girl, then you have to buy them both versions of the toy. And making the girl characters more feminized, it allowed a lot of brands to connect to the whole princess makeup, princess parties. Today, Strawberry Shortcake has her own makeup brand. Now, I will remind you, she's an 8-year-old. She's 7 or 8. And making her more feminine allowed to have all this makeup merchandise for her, for girls. So it's a marketing choice. It's not something that happened by coincidence. And if we look at the app world, so in the App Store or Google Play, you don't have boys and girls sections, luckily. But I did a little search with like just themes of games. like building, racing, cooking, baby care. And you can see that it's more of the same. The building, racing, shooting games are blue, black, have boy characters. And the cooking, baby care, spa apps are usually pink. They have girl characters. I didn't see a lot of apps with boy baby care apps. If we look at Angry Birds, it's actually a very good example of how did this happen. Because when Angry Birds only started, it was a gender-neutral game. I don't know if you remember. The birds didn't have a gender. I actually thought that they are female. I don't know why. They were small and angry like me, so I don't know, I identified with them. And then, when it became a really big franchise, they decided to make a cartoon show for Angry Birds. And then they had to give the birds a gender. So they decided to make all the birds male, except for the big white bird, which they made a female. And then, of course, she's the only one that got a feminine makeover, so we know that she's a female. She got the pink cheeks, she got the... No, they didn't have to do that, because if you watch the show, you can understand that she's a female just from the context, from the dialogue. And they added another pink bird to make sure that girls had something to love in the show, although everyone liked Angry Birds. And in 2014, they made, people call it a female spin-off of Angry Birds, a version of Angry Birds for girls. It's pink, it has this character Stella. So we had a game that was gender neutral, that everyone liked. I don't think that someone here didn't play Angry Birds, spent a lot of time playing Angry Birds. And there was no need to divide it to two genders. And today, I guess that in a few years, when you ask little girls what version of Angry Birds they will play the pink version, because when you give kids two games and you tell them, well, this one is for girls and this one is not for girls, so it's for boys. So that's what they get used to. So it's a good version of why this game was very successful from the beginning. There was really no need to do that. So it's an example of this process. But things are changing in the application world and in the toy world. I think parents today are more aware of all this pink and blue gender divide, and they don't want to give this to their kids. They're looking for more gender-neutral toys that have all their options for both genders. So actually Target, which we don't have in Israel, but it's a very large supermarket network in the United States, they removed their gender toy aisles. They now have one toy aisle for boys and girls. Toys R Us also removed the girl and boy divide. And in the app world, we have Minecraft, which is actually very popular for girls. They are 40% of the market for a PC and a console, and 58% on mobile. And we have Temple Run, which also has 60% female players, and both of these games didn't have a female female character option. And after pressure from female players, they added an option for a female here from the beginning of the game. And in Temple Run, they also added 3 female characters. So things are changing. Girls want to play mobile games, and they want toys and games that are less gendered. And parents want, I think, less gendered games for the kids. So your app, when you design a character in an app, you can stay in all the blue and pink, make a blue game for boys and the pink, glittery version for the girls. Or you can advance, because the world is changing, and take your app to the next level, make it a gender-neutral app, which is not really the next level, because this is how it used to be. weren't always pink and blue. So how do we do that? I'm going to show you today a few tips how to make your game gender neutral. First, I'm going to talk about choosing your colors. So a lot of people ask me the question, okay, if your problem is that girls only play cooking and spa apps, you want them to play like science toys or cars, just make them pink, okay? So, and then the girls will love them. They will play science, cars. If you give them something pink with princesses, they will play it. It's true. I want to talk to you about why it's not a good strategy and why you should use gender-neutral colors. I already said we shouldn't use gender-neutral colors from several reasons. First, children prefer toys based on gender associations. So again, if you have a gender-neutral toy and you just give kids to play it, they will play it. But if you give them one version, which is blue, and one which is pink, they will choose it because kids, they are small. It's very important to them to be like their gender. Like, you know, boys don't want to be like girls. Girls don't want to be like boys. So if you mark the toys for them, they will choose the version for their gender. It teaches boys and girls that they are so different, they can't even play the same toy. So even if it is the same toy and you just gave it two colors, kids don't know that. They think they need two different toys because, I don't know why, because they can't play the same toy because they're very different. And the answer about the pink Jeep, this is actually very interesting. Scientists gave girls pink, like lab toys, Jeeps to play with. And after that, they asked them if they think now they can play regular science kits or regular car games. And they said no, because they thought that the pink toy was somehow made easier for them or adjusted for them. So just giving girls pink versions of boy toys, it's not enough. And I guess it works the opposite way also, but I didn't read any researches about giving boys like dolls or baby toys. So what colors can we use? So as you can see, there are a lot of earth-neutral colors that today are not associated with gender. And they are good choices to make kids from both genders play your game. I actually found a few good examples for you of games that are gender neutral and are actually very successful. So first is the Toca Hair Salon. Toca Boca is a very successful company and all their games are gender neutral. So Toca Hair Salon is a hair salon app. As you can see, their color palette is very different from other hairdressing apps that I found just looking in Google Play. And this app actually has millions of downloads. It has several versions, and they are all very successful. And they wrote in their website that both girls and boys like to play the game. Boys that didn't agree to play other hairdressing pink apps, when it's gender neutral and it's not like this is not for you, they do like it. And I also saw teenagers uploading their pictures from this app and kids uploading like their creations because you can put your face there. It's very cool. I think it really shows that, you know, everyone likes hairdressing. I don't specifically, but it doesn't have anything to do with gender. Another good version I found, I looked the other way, an app that is usually for boys, which is robots. And these are just some random robot games I found in Google Play. And you have the Toca Robot Lab, another game from the Toca Boca company, also very successful, is the Toca Robot Lab. This game, they actually redesigned it. The first robot game they made was actually very for boys with boy colors and boy robot designs, and they really wanted girls to play it. So they redesigned it. You see, with all neutral colors. And today, it's also a very successful app for boys and girls. Another robot game I found, which I really liked its design, It's also very successful. It's the A-Buzz game Robot Lab. You see, they even have like a cute female robot. They have all kinds of robots. They don't look like war robots. They're actually very cute. Again, this is also a very successful app. I don't know the divide between boys and girls. But I think Toka Robot Lab is a good example, and I think the other app also, that you can make gender-neutral robot games. It doesn't have to be like fighting robots in black and blue. And I actually found something else when I looked at Google Play, and I just had to show you this. I did find one robot game for girls. It's the Pregnant Robot game. I actually think that's the only robot game I found for girls. I actually think it's creepy, because if robots can get pregnant, they don't need humans. But it's actually a good theme. Because it's pink, I think boys won't play it. But it's actually very good to use robots to teach kids about baby care. So I wish it wasn't just a pink game. The second thing I'm going to talk about, I touched it a little in the beginning, that today girl characters in games are very feminized and usually pink or somehow marked, so everyone makes sure they know they are female. Actually, the game I showed you in the beginning, the Ellen Doron games with the dog, my boss designed these characters, and he didn't know they were female. They tell him, design a dog for us. And because he didn't know the character was female, this is why it came out gender neutral and not like with the pink bow. But I did find other good examples, I think, of characters that are not very pink and feminized. So today, as I said, girl characters are usually very feminized, pink. You see that the boys look like boys their age, while the girls a lot of times are very sexualized, have a lot of makeup from a young age. And if we look at animal characters, you can see the dreaded pink bonnet, which we can see a lot in games and in cartoons also. That you always have to mark the one female character with a huge, like, something pink. And we really don't have that, because if it's a game or a cartoon, it's not like art. You have the plot, the characters talk. You can understand that it's a girl through the game or through the cartoon. You don't really need that. But I did find some good examples. So making a good female character, and we're going to see these examples now. Start from character traits, like my boss did. Size, color, personality. And not from his or her gender. Avoid overused color combinations and gender markers. They don't have to be pink and purple. I wear gray today. Make sure the design is age appropriate. If you have a game with a male and female character, and the male character doesn't have like facial hair and low voice yet, the girl doesn't need to have breasts and makeup. And remember, players can understand the character's gender through dialogue and story. So again, you don't have to like from the first moment marker. So some good female characters I found, other from the Helen Doron ones I showed you in the beginning, is actually Fruit Ninja. It has a very good female character in my opinion. She's not too feminine, she doesn't have makeup, she's really one of the only female characters I could find. She just looks like the boys. She's not marked in a different color or a pink uniform. I think she's a very good example. And actually, there is a female illustrator for Fruit Ninja games. I found it out online, so maybe that's part of the reason. Another good example for a child that looks her age is Masha and the Bear. It's actually a very successful movie and a cartoon franchise in Russia, in Russian-speaking countries. I'm the only one who knows her, maybe. I wanted to find for this presentation characters that were created for games and not for cartoons or movie series, but I really couldn't find good girl characters that looked their age. So I think she's a great example. She's like the Russian version of Strawberry Shortcake. She lives in the forest. She takes care of animals. She's dressed for her job, like she has sports shoes and no makeup. And you know, she looks like a girl. Even in her cooking app, without the, I don't know how it's called, she even looks a little like a boy without the hair scarf. And it's okay, because she's a girl. She's like 6 or 7. She shouldn't have makeup or anything else. And I even found 2 examples of monster animal female creatures that I thought were cool. Cut the Rope, I guess all of you know the game Cut the Rope. So you have a female character there, only 1 out of 6, but it's also something. Toss. And you see, she just looks like all the others. She's not marked differently. She's not pink like in Angry Birds. She's very cool. And I also found another educational app called Kiko's Thinking Time, which has this cute fox. She goes in the forest and she has adventures. You understand that she's a female by playing her story in the forest. She's not marked, and I think it's cool, because you really, if you have a game with an adventure, you don't need to mark the female character. And my last tip, as I said, a lot of the games I showed you here, like Fruit Ninja or Cut the Rope, do have 1 good female character, but most of the characters are not female. So I think it's also important to have a variety of characters, to have more than 1 character that is female in a game that is considered for boys, or have male characters in games that are like spa and cooking. So you can do that. I actually took these tips from script writing tips, because I also write stories. And they say that if you're not sure how to have more female characters in your story, just write them, or think about the roles and add the gender in the end or in the middle of the design process, and not from the beginning. Make sure both of genders are represented in feminine or masculine games. And count your characters, because a lot of times people tell me, yeah, my game or my story, it has a lot of female characters. Tell them, really, are you sure? They say yes. And then we count them together, and we find out that there aren't many female characters, because we are so used to not having female characters in like arcade games or things for boys, that even if we have 1, we feel that we have a lot. And then when we count, we find surprising things. So I did find 2 games with a good variety of characters, I think. First is Subway Surfers. I'm sure all of you know the game. So this is actually a great game. It also has good male characters. As you can see, you have characters from all kinds of skin colors and places in the world. I think the characters are a bit too feminized for me, a little, with the makeup and everything. So they're not the best example of female character design, but there are that's just like a part of the characters this game has. It has a lot of great characters. I really recommend you all to download the game and play. Kids from all around the world, all skin colors. They even have like a fat boy there. No fat girl, but I guess it's a beginning. Very great game. And the other example I found is Crossroads. I know it's pixel art, so you say, how much design can you have in this game? The characters they don't have a lot of details, but still, they have a lot of female characters, very interesting ones that you can make, kill them on the road, just like the male characters. You see, you have like a little black schoolgirl, and you have like a witch, and you have a fancy lady, and you have a lot of, okay, that's the end now. And you have a lot of genderless characters, which I also think is great, because you don't always have to make the birds, stones, plants, people, I don't know, characters in your game even make them with a gender. You can just leave it like a phone box and play with it. So I showed you examples of a lot of arcade shooting runner games that have female characters. I did find like boy games with female characters. The last part of my slideshow was supposed to be girly games with male characters, like baby care or spa. But I have to admit that other than the Toca Boca games in the beginning, the hairdressing game, I didn't find many. So I think boys can also play these games, and I hope that in a few years we will see also girly games with boy characters, because it's not only important that girls learn to shoot and, drive cars, it's also important that boys learn to do baby care, play with dolls and everything. And we are going to end this slideshow with Kirby, Nintendo's Kirby, if you know him. He's actually a genderless character from Japan, Nintendo's character, which I really like. So that's it. Remember that we are more than our gender.
Hi. I was wondering if maybe you think there is a way, instead of like using gender-neutral colors, to actually use game to educate kids that there is no gender in color?
You mean using colors like pink and blue, using them?
To use pink and blue, but to try to use the gameplay or game design to actually educate the kids not to notice the color as a gender, like to have games that are both pink and blue and have both genders play it.
First of all, you can use all colors. Pink and blue are just like colors in the color wheel. You can use them in games. It's not like you can't. And I did see games that, I don't remember the name of the game, Goldie Blocks. It's an all-pink game for girls that teaches girls to build, and they even have a boy character in pink. So it's supposed to neutralize the fact that pink is a bad color, and even teach boys that they can play pink games. I think it can be done, but again, if we go back to the beginning, you have the danger that the girls will think it's a game that was modified for them. You see? Or that just girls will play it. But I think it's very interesting to try to make a blue game for girls, a pink game for boys. Yes?
I'm designing a game called Kiss Hero, and it's about clearly male characters. There's for now 30 of them, and basically the goal of the game is to save the damsel in distress. And the lady is clearly a lady. And how do you think that? How do you think the kids would see that?
It's a game you make?
Yeah.
First, cool. Sounds like a cool game. I don't think there is a problem with one game where the male saves the female character, because it's just another story plot. But when you see a lot of games like this again and again and again and again, then it teaches kids something. I
mean, how do you think the kids would see this game? Do you think it will be more appealing to boys or girls?
To save the damsel in distress?
Yeah.
I think that because kids see a lot of games like this, it will be another game that shows them that boys need to save the girls. Again, as one game, there is no problem with a plot like this. But kids play a lot of games like this. And
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shulamit.
Okay.